Welcome to the interview survival blueprint for manual and automation testers. This video is your complete guide to transforming the way you perform in interviews, especially if you come from a manual background and are trying to position yourself as an automation tester. Today, we are going to uncover the exact strategies, stories, explanations, and confidence building frameworks that will help you crack interviews effortlessly. Whether you are a beginner, someone transitioning from manual to automation, or someone who keeps getting stuck in interviews despite having technical knowledge, this training is for you. And if you follow this blueprint exactly as I explain, your next interview experience will completely change. Let's start by understanding the real reason many testers get rejected. You might think rejections happen because we forget a syntax, or we fail to answer a technical question, or we don't know a framework completely. But the truth is very different. Interviewers rarely reject because of small technical gaps. They reject because your answers don't sound real world. They reject because your project understanding looks theoretical. They reject because your role in automation doesn't feel authentic. And the moment the interviewer senses that you have not worked on automation practically, even if your technical answers are correct, they lose trust. Most manual testers prepare technically, but they forget to prepare their story. And interviews are more about your story than your syntax. That brings us to your new automation identity. From today, you are not a manual tester who is trying to learn automation. You are a manual plus automation test engineer working in an agile environment, contributing to framework enhancement, writing scripts, running regression suites, validating logs, working with TestNG, POM, Maven, and Git. You are someone who handles test case analysis, script maintenance, reusable method creation, and pipeline execution. Your identity is the confidence you carry into the interview. When you say, I handle automation regression scripts, your posture, tone, and clarity must reflect that truth. Now let's talk about the most important part of your interview success, your master project story. Every automation tester must have one strong, well-structured, believable project story. And this is the story you will give in every interview, irrespective of what work your current company gives you. Your story goes like this. We follow agile methodology. Manual and automation run in parallel. Once the manual team stabilizes the test cases for a sprint, we start automating regression scenarios. Our automation framework is built using Selenium with Java, TestNG, Maven, Git, and Jenkins. We follow page object model design. I contribute by writing test scripts, validating them locally, committing them to the repository, and triggering automation execution through Jenkins. We update our progress in Jira and participate in daily stand-ups to plan and track story-wise automation. This story automatically positions you as someone who works in a real project ecosystem. Now, I'll tell you exactly how to explain your daily routine in automation. This is a favorite interview question. Here's your script. My day begins with checking overnight regression results. I analyze failures, check logs, screenshots, and identify whether issues are due to script changes or application defects. If it's a script issue, I update the locator, modify weights, or improve the reusable methods. After that, I pick test cases for automation based on sprint priorities. I write scripts using POM structure, add data using DataProvider or Excel files, and run the scripts locally. Once validated, I push the code to Git and trigger a Jenkins build. We attend our daily Scrum meetings, update Jira tasks, and coordinate with developers and manual testers on changes. This explanation alone can impress any interviewer because it reflects maturity and process understanding. Next, let's address the tough questions, the ones interviewers specifically ask to catch candidates who only studied from tutorials and have no real experience. For example, when an interviewer asks, how much time does automation take? Many candidates say 2 months manual testing, 3 months automation. This is a big red flag. Instead, the correct answer is automation runs throughout the project. We automate sprint by sprint in parallel with development and manual testing. Automation is continuous, not a one-time task. Another tricky question is, do you do automation in your current company? You must never say no. Instead say, yes, I contribute to the automation suite, especially regression, reusable flow automation, framework updates, and debugging script failures. You speak this confidently, and the interviewer cannot question your involvement. Another tricky question is related to data providers. Many testers give the syntax, but interviewers want real-time use cases. Your perfect answer should be, we use data providers when the same test must be executed with multiple data sets. For example, login, product search, customer creation, or form submissions. Our data provider reads data from Excel or JSON files, and the test method runs multiple times automatically. This makes your answer practical and believable. Interviewers also ask framework questions to verify whether you actually worked on Selenium or just studied from YouTube. When they ask about your framework, do not just list components. Explain your involvement. Say, we use Selenium-Java with TestNG, form structure, Maven build tool, WebDriver manager for driver setup, log4j for logging, and a utilities package for reusable functions. Jenkins schedules execution, and Git manages version control. I actively contribute to writing page-level methods, reusable utilities, and updating locators when UI changes. This shows ownership. Now let's look at the common interview traps. There will be moments where interviewers intentionally try to break your confidence. Sometimes they ask for confidential details like your company test cases. You must say, due to company policy, I cannot share internal documents, but I can explain the process and approach in detail. Sometimes they question timelines, like saying automation takes 1 year. Your answer should be, large-scale automation spans the entire project, but sprint automation, regression automation, and maintenance tasks are ongoing activities. The key is to handle traps confidently without contradicting yourself. Now let me give you polished, real-time Selenium concept explanations that sound like genuine project experience. For example, when an interviewer asks about weights, say, we prefer explicit weights using expected conditions because they handle dynamic elements better and reduce flaky tests. For assertions, say, we use hard assert for critical checkpoints and soft assert for scenarios where multiple validations are required in the same test. For POM, say, each page has separate classes with elements and page-level actions. This keeps the framework clean and modular. These explanations are short, crisp, and extremely mature. One of the biggest pain points is answering the question, do you work on automation in your company? Here is your final and strongest answer. Yes, we follow a hybrid approach. I work on manual test case creation, execution, and I also contribute to automation by writing TestNG scripts, updating the framework, debugging failures, and maintaining regression suite. I push my code to Git and participate in sprint planning for automation tasks. This one line removes 70% of the interviewer's doubts. Before every interview, build your confidence using this framework. Remind yourself, I know automation concepts. I know real-time workflows. I know how to explain sprints, frameworks, Jenkins, and Git. I know my project story, and I can deliver it clearly. And I know how to handle tricky questions. When you prepare your technical answers along with your real-world story and confidence, your selection chances multiply instantly. Interviews are not about perfection. They are about clarity, structure, and confidence. Now, let me give you important practice questions that will help you strengthen your interview preparation. Practice these out loud. Explain your project and role. How do you work sprint by sprint? Which scenarios do you automate first? How do you handle dynamic elements? Explain your framework architecture. How does POM work in your project? What is your daily routine? When do you use data providers? What is your branching strategy in Git? How do you debug test failures? The more you practice these questions, the more natural and confident you will become. So, this completes your interview survival blueprint. If you follow this framework, if you memorize your master project story, if you practice your daily routine explanation, if you understand how to answer tough questions, and if you speak like an automation tester who works in a real agile environment, your next interview will be one of the best interviews you have ever given. Remember, knowledge alone doesn't get you a job. The way you communicate your knowledge, the way you position yourself, and the story you tell the interviewer, that's what gets you selected. You are capable, you are skilled, and with this blueprint, you are now interview ready. Thank you for watching this training. Use this blueprint, practice it, and walk into your next interview with confidence. The job you want is already waiting for you. Now you have the blueprint to go and get it.